Back to the TSV Sports Show. I'm your host, Jasper Lindsay. Joined with me, as always, is Marco Milani, Alvin Chang, Armin Archignani, Steven Risotto. Got a packed show for you guys today. Talking some March Madness, talking some baseball, talking a little 60-second rants, maybe even Marco's Mock of the Week. But first, we always start the show with skating on thin ice. Marco, take it away.
Thanks, Jasper. And boy, is it a great day to talk about some hockey because the Sharks won again last night. They beat the Wild 4-2. The goals for the San Jose Sharks are as follows: nothing in the first period. It was a pretty dead going into the first period because two goalies were absolutely on fire last night. But then the second period, the Sharks got the scoring off with Rudolph Spalzers, then Ryan Donato. Then it was the defenseman Nikolai Knizhov with his first National Hockey League goal. Boy, what a great scene for the defenseman the past few games. It was Eric Carlson with two goals the other night and the shootout winner. And then Nikolai Knizhov continues the point streak for the defenseman with his first NHL goal last night. Evander Kane eventually topped it off with the empty netter. But the story last night was Martin Jones. He had a 929 save percentage, allowing two goals, of course, last night. And what a freaking game. He's looked like exactly how the Sharks have been expecting him to be when they acquired him from Los Angeles. So amazing stuff from the Sharks the past couple games. They play the Kings very soon. However, now let's talk a little bit of Jasper's favorite team, the Islanders. Currently, the Islanders are sitting in the Honda, not the Honda West Division, the Mass Mutual East Division, second place behind the Washington Capitals. So they are 2 points behind, have a 22 goal differential. They're 22, 10, and 4. And that is, of course, after that big injury to Anders Lee that caused them to be out for the rest of the season. So pretty good recovery by the Islanders. And going back to the Sharks, they're quietly 4 games again to a playoff spot. So could be interesting come the trade deadline later this month. So I wouldn't get my hopes up, but Sharks could be making a playoff spot here pretty soon. And that is skating on thin ice.
Thank you, Marco. I mean, it's kind of a common theme for Bay Area teams to always be in it around a trade deadline and get everyone's hopes up. Maybe they'll make a move and then kind of just let those rumors reside. All right, moving on to March Madness. Huge matchups this weekend. We have the Final Four in both men's and women's. Armand, which team are you looking to make the most noise out of the men's?
Probably Gonzaga and probably Baylor. I think that they've been the best two teams in the whole tournament, other than obviously UCLA, who's been the pretty much the Cinderella story that everyone didn't think was going to happen. From the first four to the final four. That's pretty incredible to do. I think shout out to the backcourt of UCLA, Drew Zang and Jules Bernard. I think they've been playing lights out this whole tournament. They've been playing awesome ball, but I think it's going to come down to Gonzaga's talent level, and they're going to take it from them. And probably Baylor, I see beating Houston. I think Baylor's a really well-coached team, and they've got some really good talent on that squad.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing I love the most about this Final Four is you have the two teams that everyone was talking about at the beginning of the season here. And then you have this Cinderella story of a UCLA team and this Houston team that everyone called frauds and doubted for a long time. But, I mean, the Cougars have really picked it up on the offensive side of the ball. And as for defense, I mean, we all know that's their brand. Alvin, what are we seeing out of the women's Final Four?
So on women's, we have UConn, Stanford, South Carolina, and Arizona. For UConn, beside Paige Becker, the National Player of the Year in women's college basketball. Also, you have to follow Question Williams and Evanna Westbrook. They are the X factor for UConn. During the Elite Eight games against Baylor on Monday, Williams scored 21 points and Westbrook had 11 points. Plus, the Husky freshman center, Aaliyah Edwards, who scored 10.8 an average in each game, along with 5.6 rebounds. In the Final Four, Williams and Westbrook will be very important for the Huskies. Both were brilliant against Iowa. Westbrook had a great start against Baylor. Williams had a big second half. If those two are scoring along with Bakers, then I think UConn will advance to the championship games easily. Well, moving on to the Arizona Wildcats. You have to know Ari Mcdonald. She's on fire. The 5'6" guard, senior guard, during the March Madness this year, Mcdonald had a brilliant performance. On a 3-16 against Texas A&M and Elite Eight facing Indiana, Mcdonald dropped over 30 points in these two games. She has a great shooting skills. During the tournament this year, her 3 points average is 64%. On the defensive end, she can contribute 6.5 rebounds and 2.5 steals. The Wildcats, if the Wildcats want to win, I think Mcdonald have to keep shooting. In the last two games, Mcdonald made 11 three-pointer with 61% on the wing side. With her incredible speed, her straight line drives to the basket are tough to stop. The Wildcats have to disrupt the rhythm of the UConn offense. Otherwise, it will be an easy win for UConn. Well, in the other side, Final Four, we have Stanford and South Carolina. Well, I think in this game, I think for Stanford, it's an easy win. Stanford have Kiana Williams, Hallie Jones, and Anna Wilson. They are on fire on offensive end. Plus, the shooter, Ashton Practo, who made the 3 clutch three-pointers in the third quarter, helped Stanford to come back on Elite Eight against Louisville. And don't forget the starting guard, Lacey Hall. She dropped 21 points on Monday. So overall, I think it will be a very easy win for Stanford. The only thing I will be concerned is their defense. During the Elite Eight against Louisville, Stanford defense would totally sleep in the first half. They allowed Louisville to make a lot of easy layup, easy basket, and also a lot of three-pointer. So Stanford has to be fully concentrated in the Final Four so they can advance to the championship game on Sunday. For my championship pick, I will give to UConn. They seem unbeaten team. Like they have a very great starting lineup. Also, their bench are like there's no weak side for UConn. Also, Paige Becker, National Player of the Year. She's on fire. So I will pick UConn as the championship this year.
Yeah, and I mean, UConn's a pretty easy pick there. Paige Bucher is probably the best player I've seen playing women's college basketball since Brittany Griner over at Baylor. So it's going to be fun on both sides of the ball, both men and women's. A lot of great storylines going to come out of this weekend, and it's going to culminate on Sunday and Monday. So we're excited for that. Moving on to baseball, we are filming this on opening day. I've got the Yankees, Blue Jays in front of me. Steven, baseball's back. You're our baseball guy. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, I just think it's a great day, and I know Jeff Passan of ESPN just tweeted that the season's going to be canceled. No, it's April Fool's Day too, so I just got to throw that in there. No, just kidding. It's not going to be canceled, but no, opening day is a great day. All teams are going to get out there. I know there's been a suspension and a COVID kind of delay with some teams. So, and rain, of course. But that happens every year. But opening day is such a special day, especially in 2021, because last year we had the shortened season. And I think, this year being 162 games, I think it just shows a lot of hope. Spring training had almost zero COVID concerns, and it just feels like normal again in terms of baseball. So I think that's great. And I think another cool thing about this time of year is that every team, and this goes for every opening kind of week in sports, is that each team like kind of feels like they're in it. Every team's 0-0. Obviously, that's not going to be reality at the end of the day, but it's cool for them to think that, there's a chance. And baseball is just so unpredictable. And we saw Garrett Cole before we came on here. We saw Garrett Cole, not get out of the sixth inning, and it's uncharacteristic of him to pitch anything other than the level we're used to seeing him pitch at. So that's kind of the unpredictability that baseball has. And it's another great year. And I can't wait to, I know we dug into predictions on this show. And I think when you smell the grass and you smell the air, well, that was a mix up there. No, but when you smell the grass and you hear the crack of the bat and you hear the pounding of the ball in the glove, it's great, and I think there's a sense of normalcy here with baseball being back.
Absolutely, especially with fans being welcomed back into the stands. Obviously, the Mets made major headlines yesterday and today, not only for their game getting postponed, but they have locked down their shortstop of the future, Francisco Lindor, 10 years, $340 million. Steve, what does this move mean for Mets fans and for the city of New York in general from a baseball perspective?
Oh, this is huge. This is probably the most anticipated move in New York in terms of an acquisition for a long time. Like, not even Giancarlo Stanton had this effect when he was traded to the Yankees. But I think the Mets just have an opportunity here to build around that. They have a new owner who's got a lot of money, clearly, to spend. And Lindor is a guy that they traded for with the intention of re-signing him to an extension. And it looked a little weird for a second, but these negotiations were public, and they got the deal done. And if you look at the specifics of it, $341 million, that's $1 million more than Fernando Tatis got with San Diego. So if you want an example of a flex, Francisco Lindor right there, and again, that's another free agent off the board and another free agent shortstop off the board for next year. So also, I think it sets a market for those guys that are going to become free agents. I mean, Corey Seager, Trevor Story, I mean, the floodgates are open for how much these guys are looking to get paid. But that's one thing compared to how much they will actually get paid. So we'll see. I just think it's interesting that it happens right on opening day, because players don't normally like to talk about extensions during the season. So it's good that they got it done. He loves the game, clearly. He's just an infectious guy to be around, it looks like, from afar. And I think he's just the type of guy that will completely embrace New York, and then New York will embrace him back. So this is a win-win for both teams, an incredible talent, and just another example that baseball players make way too much money.
How do you think this affects the trade deadline market? Because obviously it's pretty classic Mets to make a big splash in free agency, have it not work out, and then ship them off at the deadline.
Yeah, I think Lindor is pretty much, I don't know what the trade clause looks like in this deal. But I think it shapes up because the National League is going to be just so good. There's going to be a lot of teams selling pieces in the American League, and but I think the thing about the National League is we look in the Central and we look at the Cubs, and they have one of those shortstops that's going to be on the market, Javi Baez, and they also have Chris Bryant and Wilson Contreras, who are huge trade pieces. Anthony Rizzo, if you want to even go that far, and huge trade pieces by, I mean, if they start off the year hot, maybe those guys don't get traded because of how bad the National League Central is. But if they get off to a slow start, Bryant, Baez, Contreras, all those guys should be gone, by the rule of thumb, by the rule of rebuilding. So I think the Mets locking up Lindor, it also paves the way for the Dodgers to do the same thing with Seager. I know maybe they want to hold on to him. Trevor Story's pretty much gone at this point, I think. Maybe the Astros kick the tires more on Correa. I know they've been talking. So I think you might see some more extensions as a result, with some guys staying with their teams.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. Always a pleasure to talk ball with you.
Can I add a little tidbit on baseball? I have some news.
Oh, yeah.
So currently the Cleveland baseball team is playing the Detroit Tigers, and beat writer for MLB.com for the Cleveland baseball team, Mandy Bell, reported that it took Shane Bieber 2 hours to get his first double-digit strikeout game. He is currently pitching in six innings and currently has 12 strikeouts so far. So pretty big news coming out of Cleveland, and Cleveland's ace is looking good already to start the season.
Yeah, looking to win back-to-back Cy Youngs. Let's go.
Yeah, unfortunately, need a little run support, and he's not getting it right now. Detroit up 3-0. All right, moving on to the NFL. Free agency and trades are slowing down, and you know what that means. It is April 1st. We are a month away from draft season. Boys, are we looking for some more trades coming up in the coming months? Marco.
Yeah, there's something's gonna happen soon. Something's boiling up around 32 teams. I don't know what, but something else is boiling up. Obviously, we saw the giant trade last Friday with the San Francisco 49ers trading up to pick number 3 with the Miami Dolphins giving them 2 firsts, 2 future firsts, as well as a future third. So that was some big news. There's also still news that Jimmy Garoppolo might get shipped off, despite news that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan want to keep him. And yeah, but there's some stuff boiling up. I don't know when it's going to happen, but something will happen soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And Armand, as our local Niners fan, who do you look for them to take in this 3 spot?
I think a lot of the pro days that Shanahan and Lynch went to, it was pretty significant that it looks like Fields was the best out of all of them. I think if they take Fields, they're getting a quarterback that's going to be there for the long term. But yeah, it seems like Mac Jones didn't have a great performance at his pro day, but it seems like Justin Fields is the guy for the Niners in the draft.
Yeah, and I mean, pro days don't necessarily matter too much because we've seen them play against the top defenses in college. But yeah, I mean, the Niners do like Mac Jones, and if they draft him, Armand, are they running into a Mitchell Trubisky situation?
I think there's a ceiling for all these rookie quarterbacks, but there's also a really low bar if something bad happens. But I think the Niners trading for the 3rd pick was a surprise to everyone. But I think if you're trading for that 3rd pick, you like someone, you like something that you see. And I think that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were risking, but it's a good risk for the franchise. And they certainly like someone that they saw on their pro days.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
Would you think, Armand, what would you think if instead of like one of the 3 quarterbacks, they shock everyone and select either Penei Sewell or Kyle Pitts or even Jamar Chase? Because I have this feeling that maybe Jimmy is their guy, and Sewell will add protection, Chase will give him a slot receiver, and Pitts will give him a better weapon on offense to add to the already dangerous weapons with Kittle and Samuel and Ayuk.
Right. I think Kyle Pitts, if they were to bring him in, I think he would play a little bit of slot because Shanahan could do wonders with his offensive scheme. I like Jamar Chase. I like an offensive line too. But it seems after the first pick, I think everything is pretty much it's a go for anybody. And I think we'll see a couple surprises in the first round. But yeah, after the first pick, it's really unpredictable.
Yeah,
I mean, my biggest thing is you don't move up into the top 3 picks if you're not drafting a quarterback. That is a quarterback trade. I think the Niners are going quarterback, and I think it's the right move for them. I mean, obviously you have Jimmy G, a guy who can still prove that he's that dude, but I mean, his time's running out. He's gotten injured a lot, and we've seen what they can do. They want to win now. Sorry, Marco, I cut you off there. You're going to say something?
It's okay. I was just gonna say, yeah, I can't remember where I saw it, but everybody's saying that the draft is not going to start at 1; it's going to start at 2, because I think Lawrence is the key. But the Jets is going to be, to use kind of a dated reference, it's going to be that little marble that's going to knock all the dominoes down, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I think once you see Zach Wilson or Justin Fields go, then all the quarterbacks are going to start going. I mean, out of all of them, So I started out a Zach Wilson hater, but I've kind of flipped to Trey Lance. Trey Lance is my new iffy prospect in the draft. I don't like exactly what I saw out of him. I mean, obviously, he only played one game this fall. So I think Trey Lance is right now is set up to have the most inexperienced situation walking in, kind of like a James Wiseman, where he only didn't really play that much in college. Obviously, Trey Lance had the 2 years prior, but I mean, we've seen what taking a year off of football can do to some players. Which prospect do you think is the most iffy in this quarterback class, Marco?
If you're talking about top 3, I would actually, top 4. Okay. So in those top 4, I would actually say that if your prospect would be, I would actually agree with you with Trey Lance. There's a lot of concern that he was an under center QB, while a lot of QBs nowadays are going more mobile, which Shanahan likes. But like you said, he didn't play many games, and he played at North Dakota State. So you're not going to expect much from what division, what conference is North Dakota State in? Somebody remind me.
They're FCS, but
yeah, that small conference. So I hope Lance proved me wrong, but yeah. But if you're talking, but now if we're going out of that top 4, I would actually go with Davis Mills, the quarterback out of Stanford. He's supposed to be round 2 or round 3, and I've always argued that Stanford hasn't had a good QB since Andrew Luck. You can argue Kevin Hogan was okay. You can argue who's the quarterback who came before that. Okay, I can't remember, but they haven't had very good QBs. Mills seems like he could be an option, but if you think about it, I'm not sure how he's going to do. There is some high praise about him, but I guess we're just going to have to see to believe.
All right. Thank you, Marco. Moving into your mock of the week. What is it?
All right. So, like I said last week, I'm going to start from now on doing draft day trades instead of just the normal player trades, meaning teams moving up for picks. And this week, I have something that's a little bit of a surprise, but also could happen. Could be a big possibility to happen. I have the Green Bay Packers trading up to get pick 25 from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars trading back to pick 29. And this is so the Packers can select a first-round receiver. I know. Stop the presses. The Packers are actually picking a receiver in the first round. That would be Kadarius Toney, the wide receiver out of Florida. And I made this trade because the Packers need that kick and punt return specialist. Tyler Ervin was okay, but he wasn't as effective as some people would have expected with the kick and punt return. With Toney, you'd have someone that is almost not necessarily an expert, but has a lot of experience in that kick and punt return that he can do well. He would also add that true slot position. Now, he is 6'0 and 193, but as versatile as he was in that Gator offense, that addition can unlock a whole new sector of plays that the Packers can run. Got things like jet sweeps, things like wildcat formations. I think Kadarius Toney would be a great fit in Green Bay. And I think this trade should happen. So the 49ers, not the 49ers. What am I saying? The Packers can select somebody, a first-round receiver, that that Aaron Rodgers can throw to.
I mean, I like this trade, but I think Kadarius Toney is too shiny a prospect for Matt LaFleur to touch. I think they go defense. That's what lost them that NFC Championship game. I mean, their offense is fine. Anytime you have Aaron Rodgers under center, he's going to make everyone around him better. You've seen it with Jordy Nelson. You've seen it with James Jones. You've seen it with Greg Jennings. Aaron Rodgers can take these guys. You've even seen it with Robert Tonyan. He takes these guys who are mid to lower level players and he makes them good. That's what great quarterbacks do. So, I mean, obviously, it's always nice to picture Aaron Rodgers actually getting some help, but I think LaFleur likes where his offense is at. Kicking out to Armand, what do you think of the trade?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Packers will go defense in this draft. I think maybe they'll go for a corner to pair him up with Jair Alexander, even though they did re-sign Kevin King. But I think maybe an extra defensive lineman. They haven't been as great in the past couple of years as they had back in the day with BJ Raji, Clay Matthews, and those guys. I think if they get another edge rusher to pair up with Zadarius Smith, that'd be great. Or go into your secondary and help them out.
Absolutely. Marco, anything to add before we get into 60-second rants?
Yeah. What do you mean by a shiny prospect when you talk about Kadarius Toney?
I mean, just the right choice in the draft. I don't think Matt LaFleur will ever make it.
Okay. That makes sense.
He's proven that he can't really build around what he has on the offensive side. So, I mean, I'd love to see him make the right choice and get Aaron Rodgers some help. But, I mean, just the way they played against Tom Brady, they know that's not enough to win. They've now made back-to-back NFC championships where they've been blown out on the offensive side. Or on the defensive side. So, I mean, I think it really just does come down to them figuring out what they need to execute better on as a team. And I think it comes down to defense. All right. Time for everyone's favorite segment, 60-second rants. Armand, we're hitting you up first today. Let me get my timer ready to go and start.
All right, so we're almost near that time of the year where the NBA playoffs comes around, and I just wanted to make a quick couple suggestions for the NBA. It seems as the last couple of years that the playoffs has been, the West has been incredibly better than the East, or the East is way too weak to play into the playoffs. Maybe a quick suggestion, instead of going 1 through 8 in each Eastern Conference, I believe that we can make this a more entertaining playoffs by going 1 through 16 and getting the 16 best teams in the playoffs. They go 1 versus 16, just like how the March Madness is. And I think seeing Charlotte at the number 4 seed only being 2 games above 500, I think that's pretty crazy compared to the West, whereas the West, the Lakers are the number 4 seed and they're 12 games above 500. If you're 2 games up in the East, then that puts you in 9th seed in the West.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see. All right, Alvin, you're up, buddy.
Also, I'm really surprised that LaMarcus Aldridge joined the Brooklyn Nets. So it seems like Brooklyn Nets is like a 6-star roster. They have Joe Harris, Jeff Green, KD, Kyrie, Blake Griffin, James Harden, and DeAndre Jordan. So, well, a lot of people doubt like they are weak on the defensive end, but I think they have a lot of experienced player like Jeff Green and KD, and also Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. So I think those players, and also LaMarcus Aldridge, I think those players can lead the whole team to win the champion series. On the Western Conference, I think definitely like people talk about LA Lakers, but since LeBron had injury and AD didn't come back, and I think Lakers will not enter to the finals this year.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough road for them. Obviously, with AD and LeBron being hurt, they're not doing themselves any favors, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. All right, Marco, you're up, bud.
So this week, I actually want to talk about some Formula One. There is a big controversy going out after last Sunday's first race of the season at Bahrain, that that Max Verstappen's pass on Lewis Hamilton was legal. But if you look back at the tape, it's not. He was penalized, and Hamilton eventually won the race because Verstappen supposedly exceeded track limits, and that happened. So to all of you who is saying that Verstappen should have won that race, watch that last lap back. All 4 tires were out on over the track limits. So, yeah. Big controversy going in F1, but hopefully we can see a lot more wins from the Red Bull team. Obviously, And I'm also, by the way, I'm happy to see Ferrari is back to form after finishing 4th and 8th in that last race. By the way, I apologize for stuttering. I could not get my thoughts there.
It's no worries, man. I mean, always interesting to hear you talk F1 as a person who's trying to get into it myself. Recently watched the new docu-series. I really appreciate it. All right, Steve, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, I want to shout out Miles Mastroboni. First of all, he had a great spring training. We wrote about him, the CSM alumni. We wrote about him in the Skyline View, and he's looking like he's going to start the year at the minor league level. Also, we mentioned the crowds earlier at Major League Baseball games. This is a huge, huge thing for the players. And this is coming from Alex Pavlovich of NBC Sports Bay Area. He's saying the Giants announced that they have been approved to have up to 22% capacity for home games. That's a little more than 9,000 fans. And a condition that the SF Health officials is requiring for this to happen is that fans need to be required to provide proof of vaccination or a recent negative COVID-19 test. So some things are going in to make sure protocols are going in to make sure that this is safe, and this is a safe thing to do to have fans in, but it's a positive trend nonetheless.
Perfect timing. Wow. Yeah, no, it's exciting to have fans back in the Bay Area. Giants have a notorious fan base, one of the best in baseball. So it'll be a lot of fun to get people back in the ballparks. All right. Today, I am talking the morally bankrupt corporation that is the National College Athletic Association. And I'm not just talking about the sexism and the mistreatment of the female players. I'm talking about them as a whole. They are taking this tax-free money and they are filling their pockets while they are making money off these players. And it is getting ridiculous. You need to pay these players for their likeness. It will take away cheating in football, take away cheating in recruiting in basketball. It'll level the playing field. You won't see recruits taking money in McDonald's bags like they did at Tennessee. You won't see recruits with fancy cars and Dodge Chargers rolling up to games. I mean, it's ridiculous. You got to let these players earn it on the field. You can't just let these institutions keep throwing money at them. And it starts with the NCAA, and I think it should be abolished, and hopefully the Supreme Court agrees. All right. That was our show this week. Thank you for watching on spring break. We will be back next week with a full show talking national champions, baseball, NBA playoff race. And as always, thank you for watching. This has been the TSV Sports Show.